This is Tailgate Talk. It's Ritter, Wags, and Tasker all together. Of course, Wags on the phone at home this week. We got to talk about a lot of stuff, including, I guess we can talk about bourbon a bit because Wags and I bumped into each other earlier this week. We were at a place in Germantown, right in his neck of the woods. So we can talk about that. We're also going to talk about walleyes. Some changes with size limits, slot limits, different lakes changing things up as we enter the new fishing season. And at that time of year, again, when the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources puts out their spring survey, that you can kind of answer the big questionnaire that helps set seasons and what they do and how they do conservation. And I know, Tasker, you went through and actually filled it out, so I want to get a bit on your experience with that and some of the questions that they asked on this year's survey that really stand out to you. But why don't we just jump right into the liquid portion of the show and talk about bourbon, because I was actually out filming something for my other radio show this week at a place in Germantown and bumped into none other than Paul Wagner, completely unplanned. We did not know it.
Yeah. So Tasker's he's not foreign of the place either, so it was great to be there.
Yeah.
So I decided to join the whiskey club. I'm kind of tinkering around with it. Beer has become, as I get older, you guys are still young, but as you get too old, it's like beer was weighing me down and getting to that point. And I've been a tequila guy for a while, which is something that, if you don't know this, the whiskey club there is into tequilas now. They're gradually going into tequila, so it's going to be almost a whiskey / tequila.
This is, by the way, the distillery in Germantown is what we're talking about, the distillery in Germantown. So it's really hidden out like in the middle of nowhere. I mean, unless you're from and around that Washington County area, I feel like it's not known about, and it's one of those gems that I'm like, okay, I want to shine a light on it now because it's pretty cool. Like, and the amount of bourbons that they had in house was absolutely just bonkers to me, being a bourbon and rum drinker that I am.
Yeah, they have like crazy numbers in terms of like where they rank in terms of across the state for different labels and brands for how much they actually go through in volume a year. They're like top 3 for the majority of them.
Unreal.
It's insane. And, like we were just saying before we got on here, unless you get there at kind of an odd time, I mean, you're basically not able to get a table, or you have to wait for an hour. I mean, it's always busy, and for a lot of good reasons. I mean, they've got a lot of great drinks, and their food is great. Obviously, they won the fish fry.
Isn't that a sign, though, of any good like restaurant in a small town? Is that it's like, think about anywhere you've ever been on hunting or fishing trips of sorts. You go past a place that the parking lot is absolutely packed full at 11 o'clock on a Tuesday. Like, isn't that the sign that you're like, okay, maybe that's a place I should stop?
That's the spot. But if it's not a heavy traffic area, you would never know that unless you actually go there. And it's not that far from Cabela's. If you take whatever that is, 145 or whatever, and take the little angled road there. But the good news, they just announced that they're taking over a place that was in Grafton as well, which that place, I've been there a couple times, that's a pretty good sized place. So they should be all right there. I mean, I'm sure they'll fill that place up.
So that they got it. They closed on it yesterday, or which would have been Wednesday. They closed on it, or Tuesday. And yeah, it's going to be pretty nice. It's going to be huge. Unfortunately, for what you went back to is there is no Cabela's there. There's no Cabela's. There's no Matthews store across, and there's no shooting range. So I said, we do the distillery. I said, we'll be back here, Shaun. We will do the one in Richfield. We'll go shoot. And then talking about their production, which is weird, Charles Woodson, former Packer, L.A. Raider, Las Vegas Raider, whatever you want to call him, he came out with a whiskey, and actually the distillery in Germantown right there went through 700 cases. Charles Woodson literally flew out there, did his promo and his show there. They outsold, the distillery outsold Las Vegas Raiders Stadium, Alliance Stadium in Vegas.
Wow.
With more whiskey, Charles Woodson whiskey sold here. So
that's insane.
So he came out. Yeah, and then now Coors, if we were talking to them, Coors is coming out with a whiskey, and they put in such a huge order, largest in the country, that David Coors, I believe that's his name, will be out in the near future just to see who did it, why it was done, and he's going to have lunch there and shake hands and sign bottles because of the overwhelming. It's becoming one of the, not necessarily, like Task said, not necessarily in the state, but in the country.
Wow. All right, so favorite kind of what's your best bourbon pour? Your favorite bourbon pour that you've had, or one that's in a collection of yours, Wags?
I tried that new Bard's. I like that. Well, she gave me a couple. I'm going to go back to my cheaper, the Eagle Rare. I like the Eagle Rare. I like it. When you join the club, you get you get your bottles. I started a rye. She went with me. She gave me a rye, and I haven't gone down there yet. But I'm just going to go straight with a bourbon whiskey. Eagle Rare is my first, and the one that I've kind of become adapted to.
It's so good. It's definitely my favorite. Just like sipping to have. I love an Eagle Rare. It's one of my favorite bottles in my collection because of that. It's like my. I don't want to say my everyday drinker, but it's my Friday drink. It's not my special occasion. It's not my everyday, but it's like my Friday night. I'm going to have, a little Eagle Rare neat. Yeah. How about you?
I got into this 1792, which is just one of the brands, and it was a sweet wheat. So I tried a couple different kinds, and that was one. But it's basically impossible to find. Just like Eagle Rare is very hard to find. It's a very affordable bottle. The Eagle Rare is, whereas I think the 1792 is a little pricey, but you can't find it anywhere anyways. So it's like
different variety. Yeah, you can find like the standard 1792 or like a 1792, yes, foolproof. But to find a small batch or a single or some of those,
it's impossible. It's just this bourbon collection that people are starting to establish is just taking over. It's wild.
The secondary market of these things. So I went back in 2020. We talked about it on this show, the trip that I took back in 2020 that we drove down to New Orleans. So we stopped at Buffalo Trace on the way because it was pandemic. Nothing was going on. Just wanted to do something. My brother-in-law, we took the trip. We stopped at Buffalo Trace. You could go there and at the distillery, you could buy a ton of, they had E.H. Taylor, they had Eagle Rare, they had a bunch of their brands all available. Now, my brother just went back this year and did Buffalo Trace. And the way they've done it now is every morning they release an allocation of one of their brands, and it sells out in 10 minutes.
It's because the line is out the door. Yeah.
It's become this secondary market where people just buy up all of the stuff they can find and then try and resell it on a secondary market for twice the price, which is why you can't find these ones we've talked about, like Eagle Rare and stuff like that. So, I've gotten to the point I've gotten so frustrated with it that I'm just like, screw it. There's other ones that are good. Knob Creek Single Barrel. I'm good with that. I'll just drink that. I can buy that at a Sendik store, right? Or Pick and Save or any grocery store, basically. Yeah. And it's good. You know what I mean? I don't have to play the games of searching it out, can't find it, paying twice the retail price.
Right.
It's not that important to me.
The secondary market has just become so absurd and so ridiculous with that now, where bottles are going for 4 to 10 times what they should be at MSRP. It's crazy. That ruins it for a lot of people.
No, it does. And like you said, you can get it. You can actually find it. What your best bet is to try to find the liquor managers at a Piggly Wiggly, at a Sendik's, at a Festival Foods, and try to get in with them because, I had a very fortunate one. One of them was a member of our fantasy baseball camp at Miller Park last year, and he's a big guy, and he's a big wig, and he orders, and I actually stopped in on a random call, and I just asked him, he said, hey, I got something on the side here. Why don't you take it? It was the bottle of Eagle Rare. And I'm like, oh, what's this going to go? And she rings it up, and $29.99.
That's a great price.
Yeah.
Great price.
Which is basically what you'd find that for.
Right.
It's around a $30 bottle. So.
And it's crazy to think about, everyone talks about all these other ones that are $100, $200. And it's no, actually, if you can find, there's really good.
If you can find it.
There's really good bourbons out there. But that's why I brought up, Knob Creek and stuff. You can pick it up anywhere. And it's the same thing. It's around a $30, $35 bottle. It's good. It's kind of like wines. How wine at one point in time got to be this big thing where the prices of wine went up. Can you tell the difference between a $200 bottle and a $20 bottle?
Absolutely not.
There's so many bourbon that's the exact same way. No. Why do we do this to ourselves?
Yeah.
Imagine if. So this is the connection where you go, why you outdoors focus and you're talking about bourbon for almost 10 minutes. Well, obviously we enjoy having a little celebratory, and bourbon works great for that. But imagine if the way the secondary market is out there on bourbons, this is the way that hunting and fishing gear was.
Right.
Oh,
you want some new arrows or some new arrowheads? Well, you got to hit the secondary market because there was a line out the door, and they bought up the allocation of broadheads that you were looking for.
God, as if they're not expensive enough,
Yeah, exactly. Right, all of a sudden you're looking at, hey, I want that new Rage. Well, yeah, I know if you find it somewhere, it says on their website it's $39.99, but you're paying $120.
We're very close to that just because of the shortages of things.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just like popped in my head. I'm like, there's all this like weird thing that's happened there. Like, imagine if it happened in the outdoors. Like, I please don't ever do that. Don't ever happen. I'm like just going to keep praying that that's never a thing, because it's been bad enough with baits, me and fishing to trying to find baits, which is why just recently I snatched up a whole bunch of baits from X Zone. And we talked about it last week in the show, mentioned it. It's a bait that I think is going to be like the it bait of 2022. Once the smallmouth tournaments start up here in the north, with the pros, they're going to find this bait being like a slayer. And I got a feeling it's going to fly off shelves of anywhere that's got it. So I snatched up a whole bunch to make sure that I had them. Because, who's got smallmouth tournament happening sometime in June? This guy.
So you're the guy we're going to be mad at when we can't find the bait.
Yeah, we're going to be going begging Ritter for smallmouth baits now. And he's like, well, I bought it for $8.99 a pack, but, for $38.99, I'll give it to you.
Oh, I gotta love capitalism. Anyway, we're going to talk about some changes in and around the state, speaking of fishing, but not my bass, walleyes. And some people kind of are up in arms and don't know how to feel about some changes that are coming. So we're going to get to that. Ritter, Wags, and Tasker, you can follow us on our socials, @On the Tailgate. I would love to hear from you on there. And post out the question, actually, this week on our Instagram with a little post talking about walleyes. All right? And just simply... we had posted out there, walleye limits. Are you okay with the standard 3 fish a day limit? Because it's been brought up, and so we'd kind of get into things. We had a lot of great responses on our Instagram with that. One Buffalo Catcher commented, fishing regulations were written on the assumption anglers wouldn't quit fishing before depleting a population, or that they would quit fishing before depleting a population. Research shows that isn't true. We fish different places for different reasons. Good anglers target specific patterns to maintain catch rates, even as populations decline. Probably time to admit that we do impact fish populations and hatcheries can't fix it. I thought that was a great look at it.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people like, don't tell me how many fish I can keep, and there's this whole like, don't shame someone for keeping fish. And I try not to ever shame, like, me as a bass angler. It's always like, oh, you don't keep bass, you release every bass. I've got video on my YouTube channel where I kept bass. I cooked bass. I've done it. I mean, I did it kind of as like a show and experiment on that, but it's all, I feel, within I'm trying to think of the word for it. There's a bit of responsibility that comes with something like that. And so that's where I've always been a big proponent of slots. I think slots are a great way because you're protecting your bigger breeders, and this goes for any fish species, bass, walleye, northerns, whatever. You're protecting those bigger breeders, and you're still allowing harvest, because you still have to have some harvest. Like, you have to, which is where I feel like bass, there does need to be some bit of a harvest. So that's, to me, every now and then, a 14-inch bass, all right, laid it out, it tastes delicious. And as I did the experiment, I did, like, you do a redfish on the half shell, did bass on the half shell on the grill, awesome. It was really good. But it was that 14-inch. Anything bigger, that's where they're all, like, I think big fish taste like crap. The smaller fish are the better ones to keep anyway, which is why we all love panfish.
Right.
Right?
You got to catch a lot of them, but they end up tasting all right. So did you guys do the DNR survey then?
I haven't done it yet. I want to get around it, but what I was going to say here, this is the big change that's coming up. They just announced for the northern Wisconsin walleye regulations. This is in effect for the 2022 season. Anglers can keep a daily bag limit of 3 walleyes, at least 15 inches, but less than 20. So there's my limit, 15 to 20. Or they can keep 2 walleyes, 15 to 20, and 1 over 24. So that affects, just went in as of May 7th. As, kind of known as the start of the fishing season. So, or will go into effect as of May 7th. So it's the 3 fish, 15 to 20, but you can keep 1 over 24.
Because that was one of the questions that was on there. But then another one in tangent to that was, would you favor DNR adding a rehab regulation to the management toolbox, which is a lot of words to basically say, 18-inch minimum length limit, no harvest of walleye from 22 to 28. That's your slot of no harvest.
I'm all for that. And to me, there's no point. 28 that's your trophy. But y'all know me, I've said it on this show, and I've become a huge proponent of just doing a replica.
Yeah.
At that point, I mean, I feel bad. I've got a 6-pound smallmouth on the wall that to this day I would have just done a replica. I wish I would have.
Yeah, and then you get one over 28 inches. So the 22 to 28 is your slot. That's the healthy spawning size. And then, so that was one of the things that they had went in. And, we've talked about that so much. And I'm like, what? I don't mind that. I mean, you get anywhere from an 18 to a 22-inch walleye. That's going to be good eating. And if you really want to keep that one that's over that, whether you think that's going to be good eating or not, or you just want that to be your trophy, then great. Then go ahead and do that. I'm fine with that.
I think that slot's just a little high for eating-wise. Did you say I think it's a little high for my eating. I love the smaller fish, obviously, and I have no qualms about what's the main goal. Walleye fishermen, what do you want? You want a 30-inch 10-pounder.
Right.
You know what? If you catch that, sort of like what we do with muskies, you want the 50. You throw it back. Nobody eats a muskie. If you have that opportunity for the 30-10 walleye, replica is the way to go. So I wouldn't even I would almost try to persuade everybody to catch and release the trophy. Like you just said, Ritter, I would rather have a replica or the dimensions set up there rather than the fish on those older trophy fish.
Right.
But when you're coming to fill your stomach and you want to eat, I think, I would almost, I know everybody would bark at that, but almost go for that smaller slot size. Same with the cold water northerns that I can cut up the Y bone, cut up in cubes. Northern, cold, small northern are phenomenal.
Yeah, walleyes. I've always been, when it comes to walleyes, 15 to 17. Those are the keeper eaters. No bigger than 18. 18 the top that'll go.
Yeah.
Like even we're in Canada, that's what it is. I pretty much try and catch 2 17s a day, and that's my meal. Like my shore lunch, I'll eat 2 17-inch walleye. Like to me, that's absolutely perfect. I don't want them any bigger. I like the smaller ones that could taste better. I mentioned bass. I would never keep a bass over 16, 14, 16. Like that's it. Preferably both 2 14s and call it good. But again, we're not trying to shame. I hope no one takes it that way. And I would never shame or tell someone they shouldn't keep something or can't keep something. Like that's everyone's earned choice. I'm just sharing my personal opinion of how I go about things because of the conservation. When I mentioned the replica of not keeping a trophy, that's just because it's important to me of anything that I keep and harvest, I'm going to eat. I'm going to utilize it. I feel like I owe that to that piece of nature. I owe it back to take care of it, to utilize what I keep. And the fact that I've now taken a 6-pound smallmouth out of the Bay of Green Bay and thrown it in the freezer for a month or whatever, a taxidermist took, skinned it and it just went to trash. Like that doesn't feel good to me personally. Yeah. And that's where I've changed so much to going, you know what? A replica. It looks the same. I mean, because when you mount a fish, and I've been around taxidermists, you still have to paint him anyway. Yeah. So like the art of that's to me a good taxidermist. Yes, it's setting the fins right and doing those things, but really what separates the good from the best is your paint job, how well we can paint. Yeah. So you find a good taxidermist that does amazing paint work and paints a replica, there's no difference. That's just me personally of how I feel about that. I mean, you talk about some of the people that are kind of like, oh, I don't like the changes. I think it's nobody likes change. You could be the Minocqua Chain of Lakes. They're still under their no harvest of walleyes until 2025. Yeah. You've got that whole Minocqua Chain that went no harvest because the populations got so low
small
because of over harvest. And, I want my son to be able to enjoy catching walleyes and eating walleyes and some great bass fishing for, the rest of his life. And if I have to give up a little here so that it can be down the road, I'm okay with it. Again, that's just me personally. I don't want to seem like I'm preaching or telling someone else what to do because I would never do that. It's your choice to do what you want to do.
Yeah, you mention it, the eye roll or something or what you do, and you never want anybody, you want them to enjoy it. And with turkey season coming up right now, people frown. I've seen it. You shot a Jake. Why'd you shoot a Jake? Oh, you should have waited for the tom to come in. Or even the fall hunters when we're deer hunting, and that's at any sex, and somebody shoots a hen, and you're like, what are you shooting a hen for? I mean, you're right. Whether or not it's somebody else's trophy, and you can't look down upon somebody for harvesting it because, again, I look at it when it comes late season or early season with turkeys, whether it's a Jake for my younger hunters or me sitting for a tom, hey, turkey breast meat is good. So, again, we have limits for everything. Why not go into the fishing industry and make them workable? We have deer limits. We have turkey limits. Yes, you can buy more tags, or you can buy extra doe tags for deer hunting. Whatever you're fishing, or whatever you're hunting, whatever your outdoor activity is, there's generally a limit. And why not kind of condone or consolidate the fishing one to prevent or preserve future fishermen?
Yeah, this is a topic, especially with the walleye limits. That was something I talked about a lot with my boy Brian Keller, who runs the Real Shot up in Appleton. He's also the guy behind Head to Head Fishing, which, by the way, if you want to check out some fun walleye fishing and a great walleye fishing series and tournaments, it's Head to Head. Head to Head Fishing. It is so much fun because it's just a different tournament format. Instead of your typical send out a field of 50 guys and they're all competing to catch the most, this is all a weigh and drop, kind of like MLF is, but you're head-to-head against someone. So it's you against one other angler on the body of water that day. That's it. It's not you versus the whole field. It's it's just, to me, it's such a fun way to take in fishing. In fact, I talked to Brian on this show. It was about a year ago. We did the whole episode was all about head-to-head and stuff like that. It's available if you want to go back on the podcast page and search it out. Get a little look at what head-to-head is. It's really, really cool. But, he's up there in Appleton, in Lake Winnebago, the huge walleye fishery that is. Growing up in that area, to me, Lake Winnebago and the Bay of Green Bay, that was walleye fishing. It's like the walleye capital up there. But how people get so angry and the decline of not only size, but catch of walleye on Lake Winnebago over the last 10 years it's incredible. And, a lot of people point to walleye tournaments and the tournament fishermen. Are they to blame? And that was his side of is it us or was it, Joe Sixpack that rolls up in a cooler and any fish, any walleye, if there's no size limit, everything's going in the cooler. It doesn't matter what it is. So what's actually worse? Is it the tournaments or is it that? And how is there a way to make things fair? Because the tournament anglers, they want the fish there too. They want to take care of them. And so, there's this delicate balance, and we talked about that. And I said that's why I've been a fan of slots, because I feel you can protect both sides. You can still harvest and still enjoy, the bounty of nature while also conserving for the future by using the slots. So it's kind of forced responsibility, with things. I don't know. It's a great conversation if you want to go back and listen to it with Brian. Because to me, he came from fishing walleye tournaments. He was a professional angler, and then runs a tackle shop and now runs actually his own tournament series. He's got a lot of great insight into that whole situation.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. I think it's always up for debate. Everybody's going to have an opinion, and it's good to have a forum where people can talk. And with the DNR opening it up, supposedly, whether their decision is made or whether they are actually opening it up to public talk, public discussion is another thing. But I like it because things have to be taken care of, and if not, as the old cliche goes, what's here for us will never be there for tomorrow for tomorrow's kids.
Yeah, another one I forgot to bring up when I was saying, you want to say how bad it really could be. It could be in Mille Lacs. They just opened up a one walleye a day between 21 and 23, or one bigger than 28. On Mille Lacs.
Wow.
So that's, in effect, Saturday, May 14th through Monday, May 30th. So it's 2 weeks of it, but they had been on, and that's, again, during the spawns to protect it. The Fox River in Green Bay, I've always said I would be totally fine with making that a one fish over 28 that entire time. Because, right now, you want to go up there, you could walk from Voyager Park into Pier all the way across to the Brown County Fairgrounds on the other side of the river. There's so many boats. You could just walk boat to boat across the water, all stacked up in there in the end near the dam, all just trying to slay the big spawners. And it's just incredible the size and the amount of fish that can be caught during that time. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But anyway, we'll digress. Feel like we went down a whole weird path there talking walleyes. I want to hear about more of that survey thing, Tasker.
Yeah, I've got a couple screenshots, so I'll,
all right.
Questions that I saved.
We're going to refill the coffee cups. We're going to circle back around to that, the DNR survey that you can actually help kind of plan things. And don't forget Tailgate Talk, brought to you by friends at Buck Rub Outfitters. They are in Pewaukee off of Silverdale Road. Whether you're looking for a new bow, you got a boat that needs to be serviced before turkey season, or you need something serviced, before the next bow season. Yeah, fall's going to be before you know it. Look how fast spring came up on you. Go check out our friends, Buck Rub Archery. You can look them up, buckrubarchery.com. It's Ritter, Wags, and Tasker. You can find us on socials, @On the Tailgate. So, Tasker, before you mentioned that you did the survey that DNR puts out every spring. looking at pre-planning of things, and whether it's harvest or seasons or whatever, what were some things that stood out to you and, your general thoughts on the entire thing?
It was longer than I had expected, first of all, which I was not expecting it to be. It was almost 100 questions.
Which, well, I've not done it yet. I need to plan some time to sit down.
It's like maybe 20-ish minutes, but, I didn't think that it was going to take that long, and then I didn't realize that, depending on, like at the beginning, you have to just say, what county do you reside in? They actually give you solicited questions from, like I had to answer specific questions for Washington County that dealt specifically with some things that were happening there, or submissions that were brought from the county specifically. So, that's kind of nice that they tailor it to exactly what you're looking for. But more importantly, it would be for me to look at Eau Claire, because that's where I hunt. So I don't know. Can I give input on that? But otherwise, you're going to say something?
This is the annual spring public hearing and county meeting. So you just go to the DNR's website, and it's right to the first thing that says, put in your input in the spring survey. So this is something you could do. You just, it's right on top of the screen. Spring hearing, submit spring hearing input here. You click it, and that's where you go. So if you're curious, like what we're talking about, where this is in around the state of Wisconsin, that's where it is, Wisconsin's DNR website.
Yeah, I guess my other feedback that I had was I thought there were a lot of questions that I just selected no opinion for my answer, because you could do yes, no, or no opinion. There were just a lot of things that are not super relevant to me, so I didn't feel like I needed to weigh in on them, so I just did select no opinion on them. There were actually quite a few things that dealt with the St. Croix River and catfish changes. And it's not relevant, so I felt like it wasn't really my place to weigh in on them. Which, I don't know, good or bad, I could have an opinion on it, but it's also not relevant to me, so I don't know that it's fair.
Curious if people that, like you said, they feel it's not relevant, just go no answer, or they just try and fill it in and answer something. I don't
know. That's what I did. Was no opinion.
How about you, Eggs? If it's not relevant, do you bother answering, or?
I like that theory. I would rather have a no opinion. I know so many people that are into trapping. I don't know the difference between and how long I have to apply for a preference point to get an otter. I don't know what trapping legalities are. So instead of an uneducated person trying to think he knows what's going on, I'd rather have, I agree with that task. I think that's good. No opinion, and let the trappers or the catfish, those people in that general, let them vote and keep that no opinion available as an answer, so that someone doesn't deter something, whether they're upset about it. Right. Some guy comes in and sets traps, and he leaves his traps here, and I came over there, and he never checked that one dog-proof one, and there's a coon in there since last spring. And you know what? I don't want, somebody, I think that, I like that. No opinion is a very good option for people that are uneducated or unknown or unwilling to do and deal with that aspect.
Speaking of preference points, did you enjoy the refund from the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources with no wolf hunt, that they were issuing refunds for people that put in for tags and points this year?
Do you remember when we talked to that woman, Mary, from the DNR?
Yep.
And I literally asked her about that, and she said, yeah, this was that was last 2 years ago, and I said, what about a refund? She goes, yeah, that refund isn't coming. So I did not.
So one of the questions actually was dealing with that specifically, with preference points, was, do you approve of lifting the restriction or doing away with, if you don't submit for preference points within 3 years of the last time, do you get to keep your preference points? So like if you submit for a bear tag 3 years in a row, then you take 4 years off. When you go back on that fifth year, you would not have your preference points as it currently stands. I
lost a lot of bear preference points doing that exact same thing already. There was a time where I had applied a couple years in a row, and then I missed the deadline, and so that I knew that set me back, and then I'm like, well, there's no point now. I'm already set back. Almost felt like 2 years at that point.
Right.
And then I took my break of not hunting and doing anything, so I didn't bother. So yeah, all
and
that
just 4 years left.
Yeah, it's just gone. So I had 3 years of built up, and this was back when bear tag, you were at about 5 years. It was like 5 years of preference points. You're probably going to get your tag. I mean, now I don't know where it sits. I feel like it sits a couple more years for.
Yeah, I want to say it's like 7 to 8.
Yeah,
somewhere around there.
But I think you should. I mean, you paid for it. It's your preference point. I think it's something.
And I don't know what the 3-year restriction is on that. Why is it that window? So for me, it's like, I don't know. I mean, stuff happens to people, and whatever. I mean, 3 years is long enough time to get back in there, but I don't think you should lose those.
I agree.
So I voted in favor of doing away with that.
Nope, that's a good. I agree with that as well. You're right. You miss that out whether something happens, especially you can't, like December 10th. We know December 10th is our turkey. There's certain species for trapping. I think the wolf, the lynx. There's cat. There's other things for December 10th, but December 10th has always been turkey and bear.
Auto instantly every time. Turkey and bear, boom. I put in and get it done there right away in December, and so the waiting, I get it done right away as soon as the options open up for that. So I'm not stuck in where I was back, was it probably 10 years ago when I was a dummy and missed the deadline.
Yeah.
I was much younger and doing dumber things at that time too.
That's fine. All right, so this one is very relevant. Somewhat relevant, but I'm sure you'll have an input, Ritter. So the question is dealing with small, unregulated, unpermitted fishing tournaments. So permits are required for tournaments of 20 or more boats, 100 or more participants, off-site weigh-ins, and total prize values over $10,000. Okay, so that's kind of the background on it. Would you support the DNR implementing a mandatory self-registration system for small tournaments that could be used to collect data on the number and types of small tournaments and participants across Wisconsin waters?
All right, so where I see this headed is down the road of, I think, Illinois got in this too, and it's I don't want to call it a money grab, but it's a way to, if they're allowing small, unregulated tournaments now without permit, you're not paying for the permit. I think if they find that there's a lot of these tournaments, they're going to then make it a thing where you have to have a permit for every single tournament. And that's where, I think that's they're looking at, if we set something up, can we do a data collection to see where it's going? I almost feel like we have to say yes to it, because otherwise they're going to go to it anyway, and they're just going to implement I feel like it's coming that every tournament is going to have to, which I'm fine with it. It is what it is. But, I mean, tell me that there's not the buddy system. You all get together and you pitch it, you get 10 buddies together and you're out in your boats and you're going to pitch in, $10 a piece for big bass or big walleye or whatever. And you're still going to have those things are going to happen anyway. I mean,
and those would be exclusive of these guidelines, but
good luck catching
still.
I mean, you're talking about the actual, put together fishing clubs that'll do. Right. Maybe they've only got 10 boaters in their club that's going out. Do they have to permit to do that? Most fishing clubs I know, like everyone involved that, through like the BFL type stuff, those type fishing clubs, the Bass Nation, they ahead of the season go through and get the permits. They apply for them anyway, whether it's 10 people or not. Just legally within that, to be within the rules of things. I know the kayak series, me getting involved in that world now, they've all got theirs set, which is why we were waiting for the one that I was fishing. One of them was waiting for the DNR to approve the permit before they could set the boundaries of where things were. Now I know where our boundaries are, but so I feel like you're all going to pay. Illinois went to that too, where every tournament is a pay thing, but Illinois' percentage of what they want is bonkers. It's crazy what Illinois has gone to.
Illinois.
Right. I just hope that Wisconsin never tries to go that far.
Right.
Because it makes it where, if you have a small group, a small tournament, there's no point of even having a tournament, because what the fee is, the percentage, there's no point in fishing because of the payout.
Yeah.
And if you're putting in $50 for an entry fee, and by the time, you've got your 10 boats, that's $500, and the state of Illinois wants a percentage, they take their huge percentage out, you're stuck with $100 of a payout. Are you going to pay $50 to fish in a tournament that you can win $100? No. It's just not, it's not going to happen.
Yeah. So, I think you nailed it, though, knowing that background a little more now. This was one that I had a no opinion answer on, but this feels like a damned if you do, damned if you don't response.
That's what
because you either say yes and then you get that registration and permitting process, or you say no and the DNR says, well, why is everybody saying no? We're going to go with this anyways. That's my response.
Some of my facts may not be completely 100% factual, so don't quote exactly on that. Numbers might not, but it just generally that's kind of the consensus I've gotten from my understanding a bit of that realm of things.
Yeah. Another question, something that we've talked about before. It was a number of months ago, but when we were talking about CWD and how that has become a bigger factor, and what is the best process in order to, kind of control that and figure out really where the spread is happening. It really looks like it's in the southwestern corner of the state. That's the majority of it, that Iowa County, Grant County, everything down there. Do you support having the Wisconsin DNR undertake a 2-year pilot project to test if offering a healthy herds incentive payment to landowners and hunters can increase the testing rates and remove CWD positive deer to levels effective in reducing prevalence and slowing disease spread?
I'm for anything they're going to stick into stopping, slowing, and detecting CWD. I wish we could bring back the registrations, and I wish it was almost a mandatory, test at registration station. I wish.
Well, that was one of the questions too. Would you like to bring back in-person game registration?
I think a lot of people are going to say yes to that, because not only do. There is the convenience of the newer system of just pop on your phone and check it in and you're done. Like, I do like that. The young techie, busy life dad type thing. Like, I get that. I love that side of things. But there's so many people that I know miss the old days of hanging around the registration station and seeing the people roll up to register a trophy, or just I think of the experience of a young kid getting their first year and, being able to, be excited about their first year, and they get to bring it in to get it registered, and like there's that aspect of things that I think is so much ingrained in the heritage of not only our state, but just hunting in general, that I think that it's like a good thing to bring back.
Yeah, and I think that is my first initial question was, okay, what is the incentive going to be, and how does that actually encourage people to get tested? And if that is a parlay with in-person testing, okay, well then maybe that is a way to actually get people to start doing that.
Or, even if you don't want it like a mandatory be test, if they at least bring back the registrations and there's some sort of reward. Yeah. Some sort of like, I don't want to call it a coupon, something right. like that for having your test, for submitting to a test while you're there. I'm all for anything with that. So, and
maybe they do that when they send you the results, that you get some sort of an offer, or you get a $5 certificate or something like that back in the mail with your results.
Good stuff. Well, if you want to take the survey yourself, like we said, go ahead, go to the DNR's website. It's right there on the top. Click on it. It's the annual spring public hearing and county meeting where you can have your voice heard. I can't talk. We got to wrap this show. Have your voice heard about things in and around the state of Wisconsin. So thanks for joining us this week. Again, you want to check out more on the Tailgate on the socials, link with us there. We'll chat more next week. For Tasker and Wags, I'm Shaun Ritter. This is Tailgate Talk.